Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bunny Says, and we're here back for another game of Cinderella Phenomenon. It's it's funny. Just as I was about to, start recording this, a storm broke out. It suddenly started raining, pouring rain out. So I closed the windows, and if you hear a little bit of thunder and lightning, just please go along with it. It's I was sitting here for about 20 minutes trying to fix my microphone and set everything up, and it was nice and clear. There was no sounds, it was nothing, and then suddenly a truck came up for a second, and I was like, all right, well, whatever. I'm sitting there, and suddenly I go to put everything on, and the truck suddenly starts like reversing and making that reverse sound, that the beeping, sound it makes when it starts reversing, and then it starts driving forward, and you could hear it because it's loud, because it's right there in the corner, and I think it's trying to go around my corner, except that it's a giant 18-wheel. All the trucks here are giant 18-wheelers. And it's trying to go around the corner, and I don't think it could make it that well, so it's like reversing and going back and forth and back and forth. And I think it's gone now. I think it's finally gone. But then the second that stopped, it started pouring rain out. Like, out of nowhere, it just started raining. Like a huge amount of rain. And anyway, I think it might start thunder and lightning out, so I closed all the windows and everything, and hopefully everything sounds a little bit better. So, well, anyway, let's get back into the game. Sorry about that. We were playing Rumpel's route, and we just got into Rumpel after a disastrous failure with Karma. Or, I don't like to put it that way, but okay, it was. I have to admit it. We found out. Oh, that's right. We found out Rumpel was a doctor. He had his notebook, and we went into town and we met a boy. The boy said that Rumpel had saved him at his clinic. And we found out that Rumpel was a doctor, and that's right. He couldn't remember his name. The boy couldn't remember his name either. He was trying to get the boy to tell him his name. And he came and he said that it would be written in his notebook, the memory. Rumpel said that. So he came back and looked in his notebook, and lo and behold, his name wasn't there either. It was missing. So I speculated that part of his curse was that he has to remember his name. He has to get his memories back to remember his name and who he is. And that's his curse. Yeah, I guess his curse is that nobody remembers. In sort of in a similar way to Lucette, really. Lucette, nobody remembers who Lucette is, and Rumpel, nobody can remember his name, even himself. And he's missing his memories. So, well, let's get into it. It's a little summary, and okay, let's get into this. We're in the tavern. The Marchand is not busy this early in the morning, but everyone is starting on their chores. At least, I assume as much when I see Anise and then Waltz, who is helping her stack things. Then I hear rising voices and realize that not all is calm. Excuse me. Rumpel. Rumpel. At least I don't have to pretend to be something I'm not. You say you're not pretending when you go around flirting with all the female patrons day in and day out? It's Karma speaking. You cannot seriously mean all the drivel you spout. Karma and Rumpel stand on opposite sides of a table, staring each other down. A teacup filled with what looks like to be cool tea sits close to Karma, abandoned. Flirting with a lady is not a crime. One day your flirting is going to get you into even more trouble than it already has. I've never had a lady said I mistreated her, not once. Oh, I'm sure many could attest to being more than slightly annoyed. You're only jealous that I can speak to ladies without a disguise, aren't you? You know what? That might actually be partly true. I'm just thinking about that. Karma looks really annoyed. And yeah, that might actually be sort of true. But oh, Karma slams his hand down on the table, shaking it. Yeah, he looks like maybe he is annoyed. The tavern grows quiet. Waltz looks over, his eyebrows furrowed with worry. Karma, if you so much as make one more comment about my curse, then stop making comments about how I speak. The two continue to glare at each other. It almost looks as if Karma might circle the table and slap him. But the fight freezes as Jurian strides up to the two men. Jurian's here. It's too early for the two of you to already be at each other's throats. But he started it. That was Rumpel. This is Karma. All I did was make a comment. He was the one that picked a fight. There you go again, twisting words. Jurian stomps on the ground. The two men once again turn to look at her. It's my job to break up unnecessary fights, and I will do it. If you two must continue fighting, go do it somewhere else, like the forest, where you can't disturb anyone. Both men turn away from each other, obviously agitated. Rumpel's expression is cloudy as he makes his way over to the bar to begin helping set the tables. Jurian notices me watching. She waves at me with a terse smile on her face. Sorry you had to wake up to that, princess. I shrug as I make my way over to Mr. Broom. It is like waking up to two children, arguing. Agreed, wholeheartedly. Jurian sighs before looking at me thoughtfully. Maybe you could have a word with Rumpel later. I have no idea how the argument even started, but maybe you can get to the bottom of it. I'm not a babysitter. But I'd heard the two of you were partners. That's right, she partnered up, or she began partnering up with Rumpel. Or more like Rumpel sort of took it upon himself to be her partner. Lucette still has some problems with it. Anyway, hopefully this doesn't happen again. Good luck with your work today, princess. Jurian walks off, vigilant as always. I notice Garland looking at her from the bar, a slight frown on his face. I start working around the tavern, starting first with cleaning, and then with the stacking. Delora makes snide remarks about my slowness as I work, and I try my best to ignore her, while occasionally throwing her insults back at her. It is as if she has nothing better to do. Oh, it's Parfait. The door to the tavern opens and Parfait steps inside with a bright smile. She looks more energetic than usual. I wonder if this is because of Rumpel's medicine suggestions. Later, I manage to catch Rumpel when the two of us are both on break. He looks pleased to see me until I mention Karma. Now we're in the common room. Lucette, why were the two of you fighting earlier? Rumpel, what a sad day it is that the princess talks about another man to my face. Just answer me. I was getting ready for the events of today, as always, speaking to the lovely woman who filtered in and out of this place, when the beast appeared behind me. Even his insults are dramatic. Your flirting is distracting me, he proclaimed. Well, your flirting is annoying. But all I'm doing is complimenting women. I'm not impeding anyone's work. I thought that the only reason he was calling me out on such a thing was because he was actually jealous. You should have seen his scowl. And here we go. So I politely told him to mind his business. But he was relentless. And when he continued to insult my demeanor, well, I had to say something back. But I wasn't the one to start the fight. I swear they both really do sound like children. No doubt Karma will be blaming Rumpel. Princess, you don't really think I'm so confrontational, do you? I think Karma is far more confrontational than Rumpel, but it does not help that Rumpel always snaps back at him. The two of you are both at fault. But Princess, in the end, you are still having a childish argument. I think that Rumpel might try to protest again, and I'm surprised when he shrugs his shoulders and sighs. Yes, it was childish. Because that man is a child. I roll my eyes. Your irritated scowl chills my heart, Princess. I feel a tinge of excitement. I am leaving now. There's no real point in having this conversation. There's a problem between Karma and Rumpel. They aren't children. They can figure this out on their own. Oh, Princess of my heart, why must you depart so early? I ignore Rumpel and leave him standing where he is, as I return to my shift a little early. Honestly, I would much rather focus on work than Rumpel. He could be just as tiring, if not more. Though, after what happened last night, I do not think he is as terrible as I thought. The days go on and Rumpel and I speak only briefly during our breaks. Every day I eat another piece of the lily until only one is remaining. Oh, that's right, he gave her that present, that candy, that lily candy. One afternoon, just before my break, Rumpel approaches me with a mischievous smile on his face. We're in the tavern here now. It's Rumpel. My lovely princess, how are you today? What do you want? Your cold shoulder is enticing. I have one more table to serve. Do not bother me. But princess, I've decided I know exactly how to teach you to be good. All of your other lessons have been useless so far. Please, just trust me. To put my trust in someone is weakness. I'm going to teach you how to flirt. Oh my god. What? Okay. Sorry. All right. This is going to be good. All right. Can't wait for this. Lucette. What? Rumpel. The first step to flirting is eye contact, princess. How would I sit here and attempt to flirt? This would be funny as hell. Please try it. I so hope she tries. The first step to flirting is eye contact, princess. Wait, but why are you... Rumpel points at my customer, a young man sitting right beside the window. The second is to smile. Smile, princess, because I'm sure you'll look even more stunning when you do. Then you start a conversation with him. Body language is important. There are certain signals that key men into the fact that a woman is interested in them. I think playing with your hair is one. A gentle tap on the shoulder is another. I should have expected Rumpel to spell this sort of nonsense. Oh, okay, a niece pops up. Princess, the customer's been waiting for a while now. Is something wrong? I noticed the customer looking at me expectantly. He is just some man, a usual customer that I actually see often. Oh, and princess, don't forget the compliments. Make them as delicate and illustrative as you can. I move away from Rumpel before he could muddle my thoughts any further. Already my feet feel like lead. I find myself staring at the man for far too long. The way he stares back at me, his expression is so unreadable, suddenly makes me feel more uncomfortable. Do I really have to do what Rumpel says? I stop in front of the man and set down his tray, my eyes still on his. I do not have to follow Rumpel's advice, but for some reason, my lips quirk. The smile on my lips, though, lasts all of a half second. Customer. You okay? Right, we have a choice. You two either attempt to flirt or do not flirt. We're flirting. There's no way in hell we're not flirting. Attempt to flirt, yes. I can feel Rumpel smiling at my back. If this were anyone else but him, I would think it was some kind of prank. But considering this is the way Rumpel acts all the time, maybe he's really trying to help me. I try to recall how he flirted with his customers before. I could not help but notice you were alone, sir. I'm always alone. My heart is thumping far too loudly in my chest. What kind of things does Rumpel usually say? It's a flashback to Rumpel. Madam, you are the most beautiful thief I have ever met. For it is you who have stolen my heart and stolen my gaze. There's another one. Your eyes are more captivating than the stars, my sweet. If I could, I would stare into them forever and lose myself in their majesty. Yet one more. You remind me of a rose with thorns, but the thorns are what makes the rose so alluring. All he does is, no, this is back to Lucette again. All he does is spell complimentary gibberish. I will try to do the same. How is it that you would always be alone when you have such lovely eyes? The customer stares at me baffled. I force myself to continue. Your eyes remind me of the leaves in fall as they flutter beneath the bright gaze of the sun, and... I stop. The words, nothing more than a shallow lie, make me feel strangely hollow. The man is just staring at me, but he looks uncomfortable. Still, I do not think he is anywhere near as uncomfortable as I am. Ma'am. He said, perhaps you would... My voice trails off. I bite my lip so hard I can taste something metallic. The man's expression is a mixture of awe and perplexity. I immediately turn away from him and walk off. So she just stopped talking right in the middle of talking to him and just turned around and just walked away. My whole face is hot, and I can feel anger boiling deep down inside of me. Ah, princess. This is Rumpel. Leave me alone. Anise. Princess, we're not done. Do not care. I ignore everyone's gazes as I make my way as quickly as I possibly can up the stairs into my room. Okay, we're in her room now. There, I collapse on my bed and lay there with the arms outstretched. Why would I have ever even thought of taking Rumpel's advice? Well, it looks like it's evening now. Hours go by, and eventually I realize that it is time to help Anise with the night chores. Now, I am helping her restock some of the bottles that Waltz and Karma brought back from town. I hope Anise does not mention what happened earlier today. I slip out of bed and head down to the main area of the tavern. The room is mostly quiet by the time I go downstairs. Parfait and Delora are talking to each other at a table. Karma passes me by as I walk downstairs. He looks exhausted and oddly frustrated. I make my way over to Anise, who is already putting bottles on the shelves. Oh, princess, are you okay now? I'm fine. Now, what did you need me to do? Anise explains how restocking works. She shows me the labels on the shelves and explains that the empty spots are where the new bottles go. It's not a hard job, and one I can easily do without thinking too hard. For a while, the only sounds that can be heard in the machine are the bottles clinking against each other. Underneath that is the murmuring between Parfait and Delora. I have no idea what they are talking about, but they look serious, so it must be something important. Anise. So princess, could I ask what life was like at the palace? Right. She cannot remember working in the palace before. I don't mean to pry, I was just trying to make conversation. I would rather not. No. Oh, okay. Eventually, Parfait and Delora stand from their seats and move to another room to continue their conversation. Anise breaks the silence again. The tavern is nice when it's quiet like this, isn't it? You can hear the sounds outside if you open a window. My hands move stiffly, placing bottles on shelves by label. All I want to do is get the work done and then return to my room. It was like this at the old place that I used to work. I was hired by a rich family to be their maid. Their mansion was a beautiful place. You could hear the crickets if you were by the windows on the bottom floor. It seems like her memory has been twisted by my curse, so she cannot remember working at the palace. All she remembers is working for a rich family. It was a nice place, Princess. There was a girl close to my age that had a radiant smile. Radiant smile? She must be talking about Emmeline. The head of the mansion is a really kind man, and... She grows suddenly quiet, a look of confusion coming to her face. She pauses, and then shakes her head. I can't seem to remember everyone that was there, but I'm pretty sure they were all good people. At least, I'd like to think so. I was just a bad maid. She was. Because of her, Dolores' dress was torn. I was too ashamed to tell one of the mistresses that I couldn't save her doll. Save her doll? Denise looks down, her smile wistful. I was fired on my first day because I couldn't save one of the mistress's dolls. I was the one cleaning her shelves that day, and when I went in, I saw a crow had come in through the open window and was pecking at one of her dolls. I shooed it away, but it was too late. The doll had a little rip in its dress, and I was fired for not doing my job properly. Yeah. So it wasn't a niece who ripped Dolores' dress, but a bird? Is this why Dolores insisted the niece deserved an apology? What happened after you were fired? Lady Parfait found me on the streets. I couldn't go back to my aunt's house, not after what happened. She never liked me anyway. Her niece's face clouds briefly with sorrow, but the expression is short-lived. I can never forget the day I met Lady Parfait. I told her I would be able to help her and anyone else that got sick. That I could even do all the cooking, since I've been making meals for my father since I was a young girl. I begged her to take me in, and she did. I owe Lady Parfait a lot. Why didn't you go back to your father after you were fired? My father passed away a while ago. My mother died giving birth to me. Oh, that's sad. My father was an herbalist, and he taught me a lot while he was still with me. So before Rumpel came in, I helped Lady Parfait with the herbal remedies. So you have no one? That's what I thought. But now I have everyone here. The Marchen is my family now. Family. Princess, we're all happy to have you here too. You really help out around the Marchen, and I can tell Rumpel's happy to have you as a partner. The memory of what happened today slowly seeps back into my mind. I cannot help the irritation bubbling up inside of me. I know he's a little overwhelming, but I'm pretty sure Rumpel is really trying to just help you. Just like he's helping Lady Parfait. It's not the same thing at all. The two of us continue working until Anise makes another wistful comment. The place I worked before this, it felt like there was warmth in that gigantic home, but it was stifled. That place isn't warm at all. I speak the words without even meaning to. Anise looks up at me, curiously. The king suddenly started speaking to me when Mother died, but it was never enough. Before that, he was cold and distant, and even now he favors his new wife and children over me. There were people, but they all wore fake smiles. My father was the worst of all. I may as well have never existed to him. Princess, I'm sorry. For what? You're talking about the palace, right? The king always seemed so nice. He put his kingdom before his children. Denise fidgets nervously. I'm sorry. Apologies are not going to change the past. Sometimes apologizing seems like all we can do when we can't change something that's already happened. I think about Denise, who tried to save my doll, and the way I fired her that day. Rumpel told me once that all I could do was listen to people, to sympathize with them. Could that also be true for finding out the truth? All I can do to make up for what I did to her is I can apologize or remain silent. I have a choice here. Apologize to a niece, remain silent. Well, I'm going to apologize to her. Whether she remembers or not, still, I am sorry. Denise looks at me, clearly shocked. She stares for a few moments before I scowl at her. Staring is rude. Oh, I was just... Why are you apologizing to me, Princess? It is for something I did that you wouldn't remember. That I wouldn't remember? You should tell me. I promise I wouldn't hold it against you. It is not important. Anissa's eyes are suddenly downcast, and no matter the attempt, her smile isn't as bright as it once was. I quickly finish stacking the bottles on the shelves. I am done. Anise turns to look at me with an unusually tired expression on her face. Thank you for listening to me, Princess, and for telling me a little bit about yourself, too. I feel like I might have said too much. I do not respond to Anise, but instead choose to head out the front door. Anise asks where I am going, but I just ignore her. I think about heading to town, but then reconsider. I decide to head to the forest instead. No, okay, we're here at the forest. Alright. This file is going overly long, so let's, we're heading on like 35 minutes or so let's stop here for a moment, and we'll get back to this. We'll be right back.